What is going on, everybody? Jamie Shaw here on the Absolute Basketball Experience. And today's episode, we talk with George Washington head coach Jamion Christian. We get a great insight as to his path up. We get a look at the Shaka Smart coaching tree, what the George Washington roster is looking like, and what we can expect from the team moving forward. Very exciting, very good talk. Before we get into it, though, we have the normal ask. If you would please go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and then go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you enjoy the content of what we say, please feel free to share it across your platforms as well. In the in the comments below, if you would please share with us who your favorite George Washington player is of all time. That would be very exciting for us to hear. Eager to see who you think, George Washington player, favorite one below in the comments. That would be great. But without further ado, here is Jamion Christian, head coach of George Washington University, on the Absolute Basketball Experience with Jamie Shaw. What is going on, everybody? Jamie Shaw here on the Absolute Basketball Experience. I'm here with George Washington head coach Jamion Christian. Jamion, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you coming on. First questions first. Every basketball person in the world has been watching the Jordan documentary. What have your thoughts been so far through the first 3 weeks?
I love it. I just can't get enough of it. I'm watching it on repeat just about every day. I just love the dynamic of a team. And I think one of the things people don't realize is, even with one of the world's best teams and biggest dynasties, there's always things going on inside your team. And watch how these guys maneuvered it and continue to stay at their very best and stay elite. I just love watching it. Like you, being around the same age, we grew up watching the Bulls and watching their dynasty and watching them beat the Pistons and kind of make that progression. So I think that's a big reason why I love the game of basketball. I'm sure it's a big reason why you do as well.
Oh, no question. I think one of the craziest things is, like you said, we lived through the Bulls. We knew that. We were young, and that was back when we were consuming all the Bulls stuff. So like at the book fairs and stuff, we'd get the little like Michael Jordan book and stuff. But there's so much in this documentary that's kind of like behind the scenes, like how he interacted with like even the security workers and all that kind of stuff, and even the players' interaction and making him tick. That part last night with Tony Kukoc, he never met him before, but he wanted to decimate him because of, how it was all that stuff. So yeah. I think that's really cool to see the behind the scenes type stuff like that.
Well, I think, you always kind of see the results of things. And I think anyone that knows anything about sport, there's so much more going on under the hood and going behind the scenes. And I think a chance just to watch that and to see the interaction, how much they really like each other. They really got along well, and there's a lot of different personalities on those plane rides, but you could tell how they really connected, and you could see how hard they practice, and they show the practice clips. It's just fascinating to watch quality teams. And, I think one of the hardest things with, today's NBA or even college basketball is you don't have enough veterans around to really show you, how hard it is. And I think that progression is really important to understand, and we're getting a great chance to see that with the Bulls.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really cool to see. Moving on a little bit to you, I want to get to your story a little bit before we jump into what George Washington has going moving forward. As a player at Mount St. Mary's, obviously you played 90 games, started 56 of them. You were a 3-time captain as well, which is pretty much the recipe for success as a coaching career. Was that kind of always in the cards for you to become a coach?
I'm not sure. I thought about being a lawyer at one time. I thought about going into politics. I always loved just, those opportunities we have to help people. But, my father's a coach. My mother's a teacher. My dad's a teacher as well. I think in a lot of regards, I've always kind of been coaching and trying to help others be at their very best. When I had a chance to sit down at the dinner table with my mom and dad, our conversations were different over listening to their conversations, because my dad was just so into just impacting the students at his school. My mom was the same way. So, our upbringing, my brother is a coach for the Wizards as well. So I think our upbringing is a little bit different than most. But, I definitely played for some of the best high school coach over 700 wins, college coach over 800 wins, and then so on and so forth. So I've been a champion around a lot of very good guys.
And then coming out of there, you started at D3, Emory and Henry in 04. Then you went to Ops at Bucknell, 06 to 08. And then after 4 years as assistant, William & Mary and BCU, you became the head coach of your alma mater. How important or exciting was that opportunity for you to go back and coach where you played?
Well, I love challenges, and you just try to embrace them at every level of it. And, a chance to go back to your alma mater is always special because you're so connected to the place and you're so connected to the results of what happened. It was just an exciting opportunity. And for me, leaving VCU was really tough because Shaka, Coach Shaka Smart for me was a guy who really taught me a ton and really helped me learn how to be myself. And I was only with him 9 months. And, I thank God for his presence every day in my life because he's allowed me to keep growing as a coach, keep growing as a person. And he really prepared me for that opportunity jumping in there. I think there's no bigger challenge than being a head coach, being a head coach in basketball. I think there's no bigger challenges because you're dealing with a lot of factors. You're dealing with perception. You're dealing with boosters. You're dealing with administration. You're dealing with young kids that are trying to figure it out, and you're dealing with parents. So you're getting attacked in so many different ways. There's no bigger challenge, and if you embrace challenges, it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely. Moving over that one chair, I don't think people realize how much comes on with, it's just as much as shaking boosters' hands as it is to, implementing a sideline out of bounds play. Only 37 years old. You've already amassed 128 total wins, 2 NCAA tournament appearances. How long did it take you to find your voice on the sideline?
I sort of never lost it. I was on a state championship high school team. We went 26-0 my senior year. My coaches along the way have always really empowered me to speak up, and I've always just kind of been that way. I've always, I'm the oldest brother, and then I'm one of the oldest cousins in my family. So anytime we wanted to play or do anything, I had to kind of be the person that stood up and got everybody organized. So I've never shied away from having a voice. Obviously, as an assistant coach, your voice is using a supportive role to help in whatever way you need it to be. And as a head coach, you have to decide how you want to be. But I want to be a guy who's loving and caring and holding the guys accountable. So it didn't take me long to find my voice, but it took me longer to kind of figure out how to manage staff, how to manage your best players, how to manage the guys who aren't going to play much. That kind of stuff took me a long time to kind of manage. But I think from my upbringing and just being around a lot of winning basketball, I had a voice that I knew I could use to influence in the right way. And it's just about trying to find a way to be able to do that consistently.
Sure. You mentioned earlier Shaka Smart. You're a part of that Shaka coaching tree, 6 former assistants, D1 coaches now. While you were only there for 9 months, I guess, why do you think it is that his guys go on to have so much success in the coaching ranks?
He holds you accountable. And he loves and cares about you. He never makes your experience with him about him. You can work for so many head coaches that your entire existence is about their well-being, about what you can do for them. And he never makes you feel that way. He always makes you feel like everything you're doing is what's best for you, what's best for our team. And the way he holds you accountable, the way he loves you is by giving you more to do, and I think that's, if you're a true competitor, that's what you love is trying to see how deep you can go into a skill set, how deep you can go into learning about team, how deep you can go inside yourself to be at your very best. And if you crave that and you really have a hunger for that, he's a great person to work for because he's going to dive into that well so deeply every day and make you pull yourself out of it. And again, it's a blessing to work for a guy like that. You don't find many people like that. And then when it's your time to be a head coach, he isn't afraid to help you get it, where so many others try to hold you back from it or try to discourage you and don't give you advice. He's quite the opposite. And, when you go in his office and you say, Coach, I have this opportunity, he goes right into a mode where he's trying to help you get it if you want it and trying to give you great advice. And then I think the big thing about a coaching family and a coaching tree that I think people underestimate is, in some regards, you are who your friends are. And, in our coaching family, we have so many guys who've been successful that if there's a problem or issue that's going on with one of our teams, we just call each other. It's like having 6 or 7 big brothers that you guys all really connect with. And you can, every one of us has different problems, but they all kind of can happen in different ways. And so being able to pick up the phone and call Mike Jones at Radford, or Will Wade at LSU, or Mike Morrell at Asheville, or Mike Rhodes at VCU, being able to call these different guys, Jeremy Ballard at FIU. I mean, it's incredible, being able to pick those guys up. Darren Horns at Northern Kentucky, he's been a great friend. I mean, you just have so many different guys you can kind of pick the phone up and just kind of connect with. And I think there's a major value in that I think people underestimate. As you're on this journey trying to figure it out, your friends can help you figure it out, and your friends will be there for you and can give you some great advice.
A very famous staple of Shaka's teams at VCU are obviously that havoc type of defense. It seems that all these coaches have kind of adopted some sort of that defense into wherever they're going. How much does that defensive philosophy buy into the identity that you're building at George Washington?
Well, it's going to be huge for us. And, we really weren't able to do it a year ago, just as, you always coach your personnel and the players that you have. But, I'm really excited that we'll be able to get back to that this year, being able to pick up 94 feet and bring that intensity defensively, possession by possession. I'm just excited about getting a chance to get back to that. And, one thing that's great about it is, it's exciting to watch. You don't have that many teams around the country that play that way, that play through aggression. And it's just great to watch. And everyone's trying to build a fan experience. I want our fans to come to a game and feel like they see something every time they come they haven't seen before. And I think if you're able to give somebody something like that, you get an opportunity to bring them back. We just wanted to be so much fun, and we just talk about let's bring the fun back to Foggy Bottom. I thought we got off to a tremendous start this year, bringing that fun back. Had some great. We had a great game against Davidson that went a bunch of overtimes, 4 overtimes, I think it was. Just trying to bring the fun back, and I think that's a huge part of it. And whether it's mayhem or havoc, or whatever it is, it's about really bringing fun back and bringing that enthusiasm into your crowd.
So you talk about aggression, you talk about defensive intensity and stuff. What are some traits that you look for in players that you bring into the program? What are some of the traits that you look for in those type of players to kind of fit the culture that you're trying to build?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think there's certain things that are skills that you want guys with longer arms. You want guys with good quickness, good ball skills. I think those are the kind of things that everybody sees. I'm big on 3-point shooting. My teams always are top 1 or 2 in the league in 3-pointers attempted through the years. So I'm huge on that aspect of it as well. But I think for me, it's like all about the people. And you and I have worked a lot through the years and a lot of guys. And I'm sure the questions I ask you in the text or on Twitter are a little bit different because I'm just trying to get into the heart of the guy. We can all evaluate whether a guy can play or not, if he can finish above the rim and make the passes. But really, I want to be with a guy that I know I can help mold into being the very best they can become. Because none of the guys we're getting in high school typically are guys that you can win a national championship right on day one. So it's all about guys that are coachable. And, the humility of a man makes a man. And I think that's really important. And, so we're just trying to find guys that have, really, really great stories of just how they've shown resiliency along through the years, how they've been able to improve. Again, I think we can find some of the skills that are, that we can see on the floor. But if you can't coach a guy unless you can get to his heart, unless you can get to his mind. And so I'm trying to find guys we can really do a great job of that with. And, we've been fortunate through the years. We've had a lot of good ones. Some from North Carolina, some from Virginia, some from Maryland, some from DC. We've kind of put it all together. But all those guys all have one thing in common. They're super competitive and they love to win. They're on this journey to be at their very best, which I share with them, our coaching staff share with them. And they really want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And so we're trying to find guys that love all those components. And if you find that, and you find guys that love each other within the locker room, you're really tough to beat.
The A10 is one of the most competitive leagues in the country. Last year, you had multiple teams that were ranked in the top 25 throughout the course of the year. National Player of the Year. It's a multiple bid league every season. How are you looking to build a successful program in such a tough league?
Man, I love our league. Our league's a big part of it. And if you're the very best, you want to compete and play against the very best, and that's what the A10 offers. If you have the opportunity to be one of the best players in the A10, you're one of the best players in the country. And so it's great to be a part of a league where you can make that sort of statement and where it's nationally known, it's nationally understood, and you're getting multiple teams in the tournament every year. I've got a great opportunity here at GW, one of the best schools in the university, probably the best school in our league as well, in a great city, Washington, D.C., that people love. So my opportunity is different than everyone else in our league. Because the kind of player and kind of person that we're attracted to is just a little bit different. And so I'm excited about, really going around and recruiting the very best guys that are really elite academic guys and really elite on the floor and on this journey to be at their very best. Again, our deal is so different now. It's so exciting. We've already got 9 guys from the DMV area, which about 7% of college basketball players come from the DMV. So we really wanted to look inward to be able to do a great job of keeping these guys at home. I think when we got here a year ago, I think we only had 2 or 3 guys maybe from the DMV. And so we've already kind of flipped that to have 9 guys in a year. That's just a tremendous job by our staff. And that's a major focus of ours. If you remember the Miami Hurricanes back in the day, when Howard Snellenberger, his whole thing was to win the Battle of Miami. And that's what he did. He did a great job recruiting from Fort Lauderdale all the way down to Miami. And they just did a great job of that and all the way across to Tampa. And so we've kind of had the same blueprint here. We want to make sure we're doing a great job of dominated Maryland and DC. We've done that, being able to turn it inward. And then the guys we bring from outside of that will be guys that we can't get inside of the DMV because it's so well recruited. But you got some of the best high school coaches in the country. You got some of the best high school players in the country. We just want to do a great job of controlling our home turf and make everyone else in our league have to find guys outside of it. And we're off to a great start, but that race never ends, and we're going to keep battling that. And so we're going to get back, with a form that was similar to the Miami Hurricanes back in the day, just keeping it inward and just building this thing with guys that are tremendous athletically, tremendous players, have great enthusiasm to be at their best.
So you return 5 of your top 7 leading scorers from last season. You bring in a Vandy transfer, 3 high school guys, that you beat out the likes of Rhode Island, BYU, St. Bonaventure for them. What can we expect from next year's team?
Yeah, well, it's going to look different, which is great. It's going to look different in the sense of, Jamison Battle, our best player, he's just getting so much better. He's just found a way during quarantine to keep getting better and keep getting stronger. And I love his internal drive. And I think people around the nation are going to get a chance to get to know who he is because he's just an electric player and he's got a great personality. And, Jameer Nelson, averaged about 11 points a game this year, only 1 point less than his father did at St. Joe's as a freshman. And we obviously know how good his father was. And felt like he really got robbed. He should have been on the all-rookie team in the A-10 because he put together a great year. Also a great defender. So I'm excited about those 2 guys in particular because I think those are guys that carried the mantle all year long. Chase Parr was a freshman big for us, started 18 games for us, all in the conference play, and was electric for us as well, double-double versus Davidson and a few others. So I'm excited about the guys we have coming back. And then we had the transfers in there. I think it's just a great mix of guys, how we want to play. And as you know from our recruiting stuff, we're really detailed about what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. So I'm enthused because I think all these guys fit how we want to play. They fit us positionally. They fit how we want to operate every day. And our offense, was pretty good through the course of the year last year before we had some injuries. And so that's exciting for us because I feel like our brand of basketball can fit in the A-10, can play in the A-10. And now I think we're starting to add some of those components that you need player-wise to be able to elevate it.
Yeah, in year 1 to year 2, when a new coach's regime is usually the biggest jump you take. You get to see more of the identity of the coach showing through. And since you have 5 out of 7 coming back, then you have 6 more coming in. This looking more like your team. This is looking more like your identity and what you came in saying that you're going to be able to play like and play with.
Yeah, and I think that's fun. I think that's a big part of it is really appreciating the guys that were here before and everything they put into GW basketball. And then just keep moving the needle forward and just building that mentality that we believe makes a championship level program. And every coach that comes in is trying to do the same thing. So it's not a disrespect to those before, or those who come after me, or any of that. It's just all about just trying to put it into a place that you feel like gives you the best opportunity to be at your very best and to be a top 4 team in the league.
You mentioned a little bit before that, I guess, the state of DMV, locking it up. It's such a basketball-rich area. In order for you to, compete as a mid-major power, how important is it for you to build a fence around your backyard?
Oh, it's everything. It's so important. And, the good thing is now there's so many different ways that you can acquire talent. You can get them out of high school, you can get them out of prep school, you can get them out of junior colleges, you can get them from overseas. And the way GW's done it over the last 10 years, they've really gotten guys coming back. And, what I've done is I've looked at the blueprint of guys like Mike Jarvis, Carl Hobbs, and Mike Lonergan, and I've kind of put a historical document together to look at how they recruited and what they're able to do well. And Lonergan really was the guy who brought these guys back home and had a lot of success with that. So we've always kind of targeted that, something that we know we'll be able to do because there's so many players, and they go from all levels of basketball. And so just the numbers of these guys coming back towards closer to home is just in our favor. So we just try to do a great job of just making sure the roster's in a place where we can bring in impact guys, trying to have a great relationship with the high school coaches around here because the high school coaches and the AU coaches have so much power and they're the best. I mean, if you watch these high school coaches run practice, it's a college level practice and it's unbelievable. The AU coaches are former college coaches that have been around it for so long and work a different level of pros. So it's just such a great area where you got to be at your very best. And so a big part of our strategy for putting that fence around was really just being in the right place at the right time and counting on the people around us and just trying to build and keep great relationships.
Crazy times are going on right now. How are y'all as a program, as a team, getting through the coronavirus stuff?
Our team's in a great place. It's just great to, our guys are really motivated. You don't come to a school like GW unless you want to be elite in the classroom, unless you want to achieve something special. And our guys and who they sit beside in class and what those students are going to go and achieve it's an iron sharpens iron kind of place every day. And so it's great to be around a group of guys that really appreciate that. And they've done a great job academically, being at home, just doing their stuff and getting better at it every day and really learning more. So they've been doing a great job. We stay in touch. Obviously one of the younger coaches, our staff's one of the youngest coaches in the country. We text and talk with these guys all day long. I mean, I hear a lot of coaches setting up like 4 different Zoom meetings in a week and doing a lot of things. We're not doing any of that. We have one Zoom meeting on a Sunday to connect with the guys, but we're constantly texting with them always because we care about them and they care about us. So we haven't had to kind of recreate our existence. I think we've really operated how we would have operated had this not happened.
It seems too that you've really thrived almost during this recruiting season. I mean, you brought in 3 transfers, 3 high school kids and stuff. How are y'all staying on top of the recruiting aspect of things during this time as well? When, obviously last week was supposed to be the live period. Nobody's out on the road and stuff. How y'all staying on top of that?
Yeah. Well, we always get out ahead. One of the biggest strengths we've had in our recruiting philosophy and our recruiting program that by working with us through the years, I'm just so big on getting out ahead of it. And so we've just been doing that, since day one at the Mount. Since we were at William & Mary, I was working with a guy named Ben Wilkins, who was our top assistant at the time. Well, he just always valued us getting out early and getting out ahead. And so every place I've been since then, we've always been ahead. So when this happened, we felt great because we had all these guys are starting to pick up traction now. We've already evaluated, we already saw, we were already in pretty deep, and we had already either offered or didn't offer for whatever reason. Well, I feel like now guys are just starting to kind of figure out some of these guys can play. So I feel like we're in a great place. I mean, we evaluated early. We had all the film work we needed to have. We've done all the homework with a bunch of these guys, and we're just trying to see how it's going to fall for us and which guy we're going to be able to get. But I feel great about it. I feel like we're prepared, and we didn't know this was going to happen, but we just always like to get out early and recruit early. And we got a great university behind us, so you want to be in this class of 21 here at GW. Because that signs you up to do some special things. And so, we're using all that stuff as leverage to get the right kind of guy in here.
And then walking through, let's say we've never seen a George Washington, Jamion Christian practice or anything. Walking through a George Washington practice, when things open back up, what is a guarantee or a pillar or a staple, a guarantee that you can find in that practice that you can hang your hat on, you'll see?
Well, you're going to have music. For sure. And you're going to have a lot of dancing and probably some singing or rapping going on with our team. I'm all about us having a great time every day. And it doesn't mean that we don't work hard. It doesn't mean that we can't fly around and make the right plays, be competitive. But I want guys, I want you coming to the gym every day, excited to be with your teammates, excited to be with your coaching staff, excited to do what we're going to do. And so, we have a good time and, we have fun. We make practice competitive. So number one, you're going to come in, you need to be ready to bop your head a little bit, because the music's always going to be good. We let our guys pick the music selection on most days because I think that helps those guys be into it. And if a guy picks the wrong song, then everybody's all over him. And I think that's great. I think that's the kind of environment we want to create. On the floor, you're going to see guys really getting after it. You're going to see guys flying around, obviously. You're going to see a lot of shooting. We spend probably about 70% of our practice on offense. I want to help guys develop and be at their very best. You'll see a level of individual in there. And then we'll come together as a team and attack it. And we'll have about 20 minutes of truly competitive, get after it. But, that's 70 minutes of shooting and 70 minutes of offense. I think is an important number. We always want to keep that 70-30.
If they're hooking up your iPod to the machine, to the speakers, what song's coming up on the during practice?
Oh, man. A lot of different ones. I'm kind of all over the place, from Kanye West to Jason Aldean. I have a long range. I grew up a country boy in New Kent, Virginia. So, I enjoy some good country music and our guys will get mad at me for it, but that's how it goes sometimes. But from that to Kanye, really enjoying that. So I'm kind of all over the place. I got a long band of music that I can listen to. So when you plug mine in, it's no telling what you can hear.
I'll tell you that's another thing. Speaking back to that Jordan documentary, the music during that whole thing has been absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, well, it's incredible. You think about the music industry at the time. You had to be really good to get to the very top. You had to be very, very good to get your album on the radio. It's not like now where you can make a YouTube station, you can make a YouTube channel, or you have different platforms now where you can get your music out there. Then you had to be really, really good to get it on the radio. To get an album made, you had to be really exceptional. And I think you see that when you see that music being played and how those guys react to it.
Oh, no question. No, that's been one of my favorite parts of it too. I can't wait till hopefully they drop the soundtrack of the thing and able to upload that on the Spotify or whatever and listen to it.
Oh, for sure. They definitely will. You can count on that.
All right, so wrapping things up here, is there anything that you want to leave the fans with? Anything that you want to leave the people with?
No, I mean, I think number one, I want to say just thanks to you. I mean, I think what you've done in your time has been exceptional. Just a person who I like completely respect. It's not always true that you find people that you want to work with in this business because they do it for the right reasons and they care about the kids and they have so much pride in their work. I always want to be supportive of you because I just think you're just one of the good guys in this. I'm just always supportive of you, man. So, and whatever I can do to ever help you, you let me know. And, I appreciate anybody listening. GW basketball is we always say rise with us, and we're raising this thing to a new level, and we're excited about that. We've got a great history of basketball here. So GW basketball has been great before me, and it's going to be great after me. I'm running this space right now, and my job is to continue to elevate it back to where the other guy, where Hobbs had it, and Jarvis and Lonergan. And I'm going to do my part, and we're going to put everything we can, every bit of enthusiasm, love, and passion into it to make it as good as it's going to be. And we're excited about that challenge.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see the product you're able to put on the floor this coming year. And I appreciate the kind words as well. That really means a lot.
Always.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in on the Absolute Basketball Experience with Jamie Shaw. For Jamion Christian, thank you guys very much. And there you have it. Great talk here we had with Jamion Christian on the Absolute Basketball Experience with Jamie Shaw. We got into what to look forward to, what his philosophies are, and all of that stuff. It was a good deep dive into Jamion and his past and his future. Before we get going here, if you would please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and if you enjoyed the content, share it across your platforms as well. And don't forget also in the comments below your favorite George Washington player of all time. Until next time, I appreciate it. For Jamion Christian, I'm Jamie Shaw on the Absolute Basketball Experience. Thank you guys very much.